Everybody likes to win. I like to win, but I don't always win, and that makes me sad. Wrestlers like to win too, but weirdly, it's not actually up to how good they are at things like being really good at Connect 4. Yes, I'm still sore about that, little nephew Benny! You know I didn't mean to put it there! For wrestlers, the decision about whether they win or lose is made for them, and sometimes that decision is very, very wrong. Many careers have been derailed by a steady stream of bad WWE booking over the years, but sometimes you can isolate one specific match where it has ended any chance of that character ever working again. I'm Ollie Davis, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are the 10 most harmful losses in WWE history. Before I get into the list, please do give us a subscribe at partsFUNknown for lists, quiz shows, and much more about wrestling, like Adam Blompier's 10 wrestlers who survived horrible debuts. Watch that right after this.
Before we get into the list, I'd just like to say a huge thank you to this video's sponsor, Raid Shadow Legends. And it just got its newest call-up to the main roster, legendary champion Deliana, who doesn't just love a trendy undercut, she's also got balls. 2 blue glowing balls that hover in each hand. Balls. And you can get it right now with Raid's special Deliana Chase event. All you have to do is log in and play Raid for 7 days between now and 20th of July, and you'll get her for free. So download Raid using our link in the video description below, or scan the QR code on screen now. All new players just enter promo code MyDeliana and get 50 XP brews to instantly get your legendary hero Deliana to max level 50. And there's a ton of events happening in Raid this month, new events for the summer solstice. It's called the Path of Light, and you'll be able to explore 3 branching paths to get the rewards you want the most. On top of that, there's some awesome new champions coming out and a set of skins for the amazing Trundra Guild Mallet. All of this treasure will be waiting for you here. Please do at least check the game out, as it's awesome and also really helps support partsFUNknown.
Number 10. Alexa Bliss beats Bayley, Extreme Rules 2017. Not every entry on this list completely kills the career of the person losing. In this case, it was just enough to kill their massively over babyface character and push. There have been few rivalries quite as damaging to a babyface as the Alexa Bliss feud was to Bayley in 2017. Despite being the shining beacon of sunshine, smiles and rainbows in NXT, and probably the easiest babyface to book in years, Bayley was having a hard time on Raw. She'd openly admitted that she didn't deserve to be the Raw Women's Champion, and then after that she lost the title to Alexa Bliss in her hometown. It was under the good old-fashioned kendo stick on a pole match rules. Taking place at Extreme Rules that year, the story of the match was meant to be Bayley finding a way to overcome her self-imposed moral disadvantage that she wouldn't use a weapon to win to regain her title from the dastardly Bliss. Instead, she lost, because in WWE, babyfaces lose. Remember that, kids. Your heroes lose here. Number 9. CM Punk beats Ryback, Hell in a Cell 2012. By itself, in a vacuum, this match actually feels like a bit of a success. And a vacuum, funnily enough, is an appropriate place to put this match because it sucks. Ryback had been WWE's latest big muscle man to squash his way through jobbers all summer, and by the time Hell in a Cell rolled around and John Cena's injury meant he couldn't face Punk at the pay-per-view like originally intended, Ryback was their choice for a replacement, suddenly igniting the push powder keg they'd been fueling. The match pulled a huge buy rate for the time, pitting Ryback's undefeated streak against the year-long reign of CM Punk in a Hell in a Cell stipulation that must have a finish. This was in a more innocent time, when Hell in a Cell matches had actual finishes, but WWE had booked themselves into a corner, not wanting to beat either guy, so they instead turned the Mad Ox Brad Maddox into a heel referee, pinning Ryback and forever halting whatever momentum he had going for him. Number 8. Triple H beats Booker T, WrestleMania 19. This one is harmful for an entirely different reason. Not only was the story naturally set up for Triple H to lose the World Heavyweight Championship to Booker T, but it was kind of the only morally just way to go as well. The build to that match at WrestleMania 19 has remained one of the most infamous ever, because this is the story where the bad guy says racist things and then gets away with the racist things, because in WWE, your heroes lose. Remember, kids, your heroes lose here. And as if screwing the easy moral victory over the bad guy story wasn't enough, Triple H took forever to pin Booker after his pedigree, making his opponent look even weaker. Booker T would never be taken seriously again as a top talent in WWE, only winning the title years later as King Booker. Number 7. Goldberg beats The Fiend. Super Showdown 2020. At one point, The Fiend wasn't just the hottest act in WWE, he was the hottest act in wrestling. His Hell in a Cell anticipation arguably overshadowing AEW Dynamite's debut on TV that same week. Just 5 months after that, Goldberg beat The Fiend for the Universal title at a show in Saudi Arabia. If you ever needed a visual representation of WWE choosing the then over elevating a star of the now and the forever, this was it. Gorg didn't just beat the previously invincible Fiend, he beat him incredibly decisively, with somehow only the second worst jackhammer performed in Saudi Arabia. If Hell in a Cell 2019 was the first nail in the coffin, this was one of the most over gimmicks in recent times, fully being slain. Speaking of Saudi Arabia, the place where nothing good happens in wrestling. Number 6, Brock Lesnar beats Ricochet. That same show, Super Showdown 2020, oh my god. Somehow Goldberg beating The Fiend wasn't the most damaging loss to come out of Super Showdown 2020, because even though The Fiend lost to Goldberg, his next appearance was staring down John Cena with the WrestleMania sign in view, which was followed up by the genre-breaking Firefly Funhouse match. The same can't be said for Ricochet. Brock Lesnar broke and ripped him apart like a deer carcass at Super Showdown, and a few days later, Ricochet lost to Riddick Moss for the 24/7 title. Ricochet could be the best WWE high flyer ever, but this match clipped his wings. The term burial is thrown around a lot these days, and more often than not, it isn't used appropriately. This, however, was a burial 6 feet deep that Ricochet has never been fully able to flip out of. Number 5. John Cena beats Bray Wyatt, WrestleMania 30. It's not often that one guy has more than one of the most devastating losses in wrestling history, but here we are. I guess that's a testament to Bray Wyatt's creativity, that he managed to build a just as over new gimmick from the ruins of his first cult leader character. Wyatt family era Bray versus John Cena felt like a perfect narrative fit. Sure, the story got some supernatural spookiness, but it'll all be okay when Bray pins Cena at the grandest stage of them all. Oh no, wait, Cena wins, lol! WrestleMania 30 saw Cena beat Wyatt clean, at the exact moment Wyatt needed a big stage, credible win to fully reach his main event tier. Instead, afterwards, Bray went full spooky in the aftermath, quickly devolved into a character that called upon spooky ghost children to do his bidding, which was not what made the original character work so well. Number 4. John Cena beats Damien Sandow, Raw 2013. In a 2-for-1 special, today you don't just get to witness the harm being done to Damien Sandow, but also to the Money in the Bank contract, a stipulation WWE really did not need to kill the way they did. After winning the World Heavyweight Championship from Alberto Del Rio, John Cena was jumped by Damien Sandow, who cashed in his Money in the Bank contract, and after some brief tussling, Cena dispatched Sandow out of the main event scene, to which he would never return. Sandow really went from Mr. Money in the Bank to losing title shots for the Intercontinental Championship in a matter of like 2 months. This loss was the end of any hope Sandow had as a main eventer, and even more still, this was the first real and true Money in the Bank cash-in failure. WWE clearly wanted to get to the title unification that was just down the road and ditch the Money in the Bank briefcase rather than complicate their storyline. Number 3. John Cena beats Brock Lesnar, Extreme Rules 2012. Cena wins, lol was a meme for a reason. You might like him now because he had a few US title matches on Raw 6 years ago, but suffering succotash did he hold a lot of guys down. In this instance, Brock Lesnar had returned to WWE after 8 years away, during which time he had become UFC heavyweight champion and the biggest pay-per-view box office draw of the previous 4 years. You could not make it easier to print money for the 18 months that followed his return. Think of how much bigger it would have felt to have seen an unbeaten Brock Lesnar face The Undertaker at WrestleMania for the streak. Instead, John Cena beat Brock Lesnar in his first match back. Never again will the stars align like this for WWE, and what makes it worse is Cena didn't even need this win, he lost to John Laurinaitis a month afterwards. Don't know what happened to that Lesnar guy though, hope he's alright. Cool tats. Number 2. Team WWE beats the Nexus, SummerSlam 2010. It's Cena wins lol again! And it's arguably the most egregious example, not just ruining 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 wrestlers, but 7 potential new stars all in one match. You've almost got to admire the efficiency. John Cena led Team WWE into battle over the Nexus at SummerSlam 2010. This 7-on-7 elimination match was the first time we had seen the Nexus on a big stage, and had they won this match, this could have made the careers of all involved, or at the very least, the top few. Instead, this mostly even tag match just shifts into ludicrous speed, and John Cena kicks out of a DDT on the floor and beats Justin Gabriel and Wade Barrett 2-on-1. Rarely have we ever seen such damage done to a group in one go. Chris Jericho and Edge would later reveal how they told John Cena this was a bad idea. They were right. Never again would the Nexus taken anywhere near as seriously, which Cena helped again the following night on Raw by comparing them all to fast food mascots. Honestly, this was so bad, I stopped watching WWE for half a year after it happened, where I went off to become an Ubermark watching Ring of Honor and all the coolest indie promotions you haven't heard of. But even despite that, the thing that nearly killed my wrestling fandom, objectively, there is one loss that, ironically, beats all others. Number 1. Brock Lesnar beats Kofi Kingston, SmackDown 2019. In one of WWE's biannual moments of giving fans what they wanted, they went right back hard to their default "Your Heroes Lose" booking. After one of the all-time great WrestleMania moments, Kofi Kingston's WWE Championship reign was ended by Brock Lesnar in just 7 seconds on the SmackDown debut on Fox, killing Kofi so bad he fell from top champion to tag wrestler forevermore. Kofi has barely been in touching distance of the WWE Championship since, and despite one very effective detail where Kofi was asked about the title and he played it cool while also crushing a pancake in his hand, really, he hasn't added any of that fire into his character, because in WWE, your heroes lose. They lose, and it doesn't mean anything. Remember, kids, your heroes lose then, now, forever, together. Almost ironic that John Cena says that, Sting, isn't it? What do you think is the most harmful loss in WWE history? Let me know in the comments down below. But it's not all bad. Subscribe and go watch 10 wrestlers who survived horrible debuts with Adam Blampied right now.